Hi guys, Matthew Woodward here, and today I'm going to show you how to spin content properly with some advanced techniques. Today you'll learn exactly what article spinning is, along with all of the benefits of it. I'll also show you how it works, and most importantly, how to spin articles the right way. And finally, we'll move into some advanced techniques and my personal process. Article spinning is a method of creating lots of unique content from one source article. When done correctly, you can avoid duplicate content problems with your link building. Essentially, a spun article is just saying the same thing but in a different way. So let me show you how to spin an article. Take this short sentence, for example, that reads, "Hello, my name is Matthew." We can spin the sentence by adding alternative words for hello, such as hey and hi, using curly brackets and pipes, as you can see. This would produce three unique sentences, which are hi, my name is Matthew, hello, my name is Matthew, and hey, my name is Matthew. Seems pretty simple, right? We can actually take it a step further by spinning all of the words in the sentence like this. As you can see, we have alternative words for hello, my name is, and Matthew. This produces lots of unique possibilities, such as hi, my name is Matt, hello, I'm called Matthew, hey, my name is Matthew, and so on. You can actually spin pretty much anything in your articles. Once you're familiar with word and phrase spinning, you can also explore spinning entire sentences, paragraphs, images, videos, links, and HTML formatting. That might sound a bit scary at first, but don't worry, I'm going to take you through it step by step. First, we're going to start with a source article and spin it with some alternative sentences. Then we're going to spin the words and phrases, spin in some relevant images and videos, add some contextual links, and a bit of HTML formatting. All of that will create for a really unique article that we can use lots and lots of times in our link building. So let's get stuck in. So this is the Best Spinner, and this is my spinning software of choice. In my opinion, it really is the best spinner, and there is a link to download the trial on the video right now. So this software has lots of different functions and settings, and I'm going to take you through all of these throughout the course of the tutorial. But one thing I wanted to quickly touch on are the auto tools up here. Now, what some people consider article spinning to be is to load an article in, press the auto select button here, and that automatically spins the article for you. The problem with this is that usually it never makes sense, and on top of that, the uniqueness is never very good. So if you're going to do article spinning, do it properly. It is highly effective when done right, so don't take any shortcuts, and I'm going to teach you how to do it properly throughout this video. So let's get started. So if I just put my source article that I'm using for this tutorial back here. Now this is a very short article. Really, your base article should be a minimum of 500 words, but I'm just keeping it short and quick to show you how this all works. So the first thing that we need to do is what we call sentence spinning. And sentence spinning is essentially writing an alternative sentence for each sentence. So if we take this sentence here, we could write an alternative for it as something along the lines of this. Okay, so that sentence pretty much says the same as that sentence, and what we are going to do is spin it so that when the software outputs a sentence, it chooses between either this sentence or that sentence. So to do that, we need to put a curly bracket there, and then a pipe symbol here, and then we can bring that back up to here, and finally a squiggly bracket there. So that's a squiggly bracket at the start, a pipe to separate the two sentences, and one at the end. And if we look here, you'll see sometimes it uses this sentence, and sometimes it uses the alternative sentence that we've just written in. So you can actually go a step further and add a third alternative sentence. So to do that, we put a pipe in here, and I'm just going to quickly write a third sentence and pause the video. Okay, so I have now written a third sentence in, which you can see here. And if we just go spun article again, it's using the first sentence, the second sentence, the first one again, and there's a third one. So that is sentence spinning. Now, what you need to do is go through the entire article and write 2 alternative sentences for each original sentence. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go through and do all of that. And when we come back, we should have everything spun at the sentence level. Okay, I have now finished spinning it on the sentence level. Every original sentence now has 2 alternative sentences. So there's sentence 1, that's sentence 2, and here we have sentence 3. And I've done that for every single sentence. So if we have a look at what it looks like here, you can see that to be honest with you, payday loans should only ever be used if you are desperate for money. If you do need money quickly, then payday loans are helpful but should be a last resort. And if we come to the Publish tab here and then Generate and Compare, we will now generate 50 articles from this spin and compare them to each other to see how unique each of them are against each other. And this takes a little bit of time to do, but as you can see, it's comparing, it's just filling out this table down here, and more often than not it will appear to have crashed and say not responding. If you're doing like 500 here, it will say not responding for a while, but just leave it and it will catch up. So if we make this full screen, we can kind of have a look at the uniqueness. So what this has done is generated 50 articles and compared each one of them against each other to get a percentage figure of uniqueness. And basically the higher the figure, the more unique it is, and that's what we're aiming for. So just looking through here, we can see we've got a 43% here, and we can see that the overlapping content, 41%, 47%, another 41, or 37% down here. So although we've spun it on the sentence level, there's certainly a lot more we can do to improve this overall uniqueness. So let's move on to spinning at the word and phrase level. Now, spinning on the word and phrase level is quite easy. The Best Spinner has some pretty cool functions to help us out with that throughout. So to start with, we'll just highlight this first phrase here that was signified with the underline, and that will automatically suggest some alternative words to us down here. Now, although the Best Spinner does provide lots of possible alternatives as we kind of cycle through these words here, it doesn't always offer the best alternatives, and more often than not, if you just use your brain a little bit, you can come up with alternatives better than what the Best Spinner can suggest. So I recommend using these words and phrases as a guideline or indication only, and you should certainly be doing your own mental aerobics to think of words that fit in as you're doing it. So to start with, we've got a payday loan highlighted there, and down here it suggests some alternatives. So let's see what we can add as an alternative phrase that still makes sense within the context of the article. So a payday loan is usually a short-term loan of money. So an online payday loan is usually a short-term loan of money. That makes sense. A cash payday loan, an advance payday loan, a payday advance loan, payday loans. Now that wouldn't make sense because then it would read payday loans is usually a short-term loan of money, and that doesn't make sense, so we will not include that. A cash advance is usually a short-term loan of money. That makes sense. So this already we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possible words for or phrases for the best spinner to choose from on each output. And to move along to the next word or phrase, you can just press the tab button above caps lock on your keyboard. And then we can move on to the next one. So a cash advance is generally a, is commonly a, is mostly a, is often a, and is a. So all of that makes sense. And again, we can just press tab here and we will go on to short-term loan. Now, sometimes you get, this is selected that short-term loan is a phrase that it recognizes and words that it has alternatives for. But you might find that if you press tab again, it will have alternatives for the other words within those phrases. So you don't always have to replace a phrase, you can just replace the word sometimes. But I'm just going to use those there and press tab to move on to of money. So here we can put of cash, but what we can also do is this sentence would make sense without it saying of money or of cash. So what we can actually do is a bit of manual spinning here, and if we add a bracket here and a pipe there and a bracket there, this of money of cash now becomes optional. So if we have a look at spun article, you can get a short-term payday loan to help you until you next get paid or can afford to pay it back. If we press spin, and I'm just looking for one with the of money in it. Here we go. A payday loan is commonly a short-term installation loan of money for a couple of weeks. Now, if you dropped that of money phrase, a payday loan is commonly a short-term installation loan for a couple of weeks until you get your next paycheck. So spinning that in and out changes the structure of the sentence, but it still makes sense. So when going through that, think about, are there any words or phrases within the sentence that I can remove and the sentence still makes sense? And that's one of the things that you can do. So that is spinning on the word and phrase level. And what you should do is go through all of these and do it for every single word and phrase where it makes sense to do so, and only where it makes sense to do so. Remember, the whole point of this is so that the final output makes sense to any human that is reading it and would pass moderation. So I'm just going to stop the video and go through all of these words and phrases, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, I have now finished spinning all of the words and phrases. These orange ones are where I've taken words out or spun words within phrases even further, just where it makes sense to do so. So if we have a look at the final output here, the idea is that it should make perfect sense. So let's have a quick read. A cash advance is a short-term loan of cash for a few weeks up until you receive your paycheck. The optimum time to apply for a cash loan occurs when you've got a critical problem that needs cash swiftly. Makes sense to me. New spin. A payday loan is commonly a short-term personal loan of money for a few days up until you next receive your salary. Many people utilize them to assist with sudden financial issues as a short-term solution. And just reading the rest of that through, you can see all of that makes perfect sense to anyone where English is their primary language and would pass human moderation at easy in articles, for example. So if we have a look at what that has done for our uniqueness, remember last time we generated 50 articles and compared them once we just spun it on the sentence level, and we were getting some that were only about 40% unique. So let's see what this generates for us now. I'm just going to pause the video while it outputs this. Okay, it's finished generating all of these, and if we have a look at this uniqueness table down here, lots of 90s, lots of 80s, a couple of 70s. Let's have a further look down here, 80s, 90s, 70s. So already you can see how spinning on the sentence level brought it to around 40% uniqueness, and now we're getting probably, I'd say on average, 80 to 85% uniqueness once this has been published 50 times. So that's pretty good. But really, this is just the basics of spinning. We can now move into adding in images, videos, contextual links, and all sorts of other things that are really going to help with this uniqueness and also make the article look much better when you submit it, when it's supported with relevant images and videos and things like that. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. If we just start a new file here, and if you consider that HTML code for an image normally looks like this, like that. You can also spin the HTML elements within this. So, for example, you could have border equals 0 or 1. So some images would have a border and some wouldn't. You can have the alt tag as payday loan, and then spin various words within that alt tag. Or you could make it so that the alt tag only appears 50% of the time, like this. So no alt tag, and there's the alt tag, and you can see the border changing from 0 to 1 there. And you can also do the same with the alignment, left, right, center, like that. And also the source or URL of the image that you're going to display. But I've actually gone a step further with my image HTML code, which looks like this. And what this does is actually move the order of the elements around as well. So here you can see it goes source, border, align. And now it's alt, border, source, align. And now it's border, align, source, alt. So every time the code is in a different order with a different border, a different alignment, a different image, and a different alt tag. And this really helps boost the uniqueness of the article, as well as making it more pleasing on the eye by providing a relevant image, and Google will also value the page a little bit more. So what we actually need to do is go out and populate this spin code. This example spin code that you see here, I will make available to download underneath the video on my blog. And the first thing that we need to do is find a list of source images and then some alt text to insert in there. So I'm going to take you through how to do that. So we're going to use Google Images as our source for our images. Now, if you've got Scrapebox, I'm going to show you a very quick way to do this in a couple of clicks. But for the people that don't have Scrapebox, pay attention. The first thing you need to do is type your keyword into the search box, and this will return a list of relevant images. The problem is these are too big to use for submission, as usually the width of them means that they'll overlap and it won't look very good when you actually go out and publish your articles with images in. So we need to come down to any size on the left here and select medium. The problem is that the medium sizes are still too big, and Google used to give us the option to choose small down here, and they took it away for some daft reason. But if we come up to the URL here, we can see where it says ISZ:M. Just change that M to an S and hit enter, and you can return all of the small images. So if you open a few of these up in tabs, really you need to be opening at least 50 of these. I'm only going to do 5 just to show you the process. But once you've got those open, close your search results. And here we can click on full size image, control and tab to the next tab, full size image, control and tab, full size image, and just do that for all of the URLs you've got open. And then you will just have a list of them, of tabs, with just images in them. So if you then open up the URL lister plugin, that will provide a list of all the URLs currently open in tabs. And if we make a copy of those and come into the best spinner, we can paste that list of URLs, highlight them, spin them together, click no, and then we can insert those into our source tags, of which there are 3 of them for you to insert this into. And you can see the resulting output here. But if you've got Scrapebox, we can actually make this a lot easier and a lot quicker, as well as get hundreds of images to work with very easily. So let's shoot over to Scrapebox quickly. So in Scrapebox, if you come up to add-ons and the Scrapebox Google Image Grabber, if you don't have that installed already, just click on show available add-ons and install it from there. But open that up and enter your keyword, and I am going to say to grab 80 images for that keyword in the all-important small size. Click locate image URLs and look at that, it's grabbed 80 of them in a second. Click on OK. Here's the list of the URLs, and then click on export, and we're going to call that image URLs. OK. And if we just open that up, you can see a big long list of all the image URLs, and then it is just a case of taking those into the best spin, pasting the list into here, selecting them all, spin together, no, and then insert those into your different source tags here. 1, 2, and 3. So that is the source done. Now all we need to do is look at the alt tags. Now you have a couple of different ways to approach the alt tags. You can either use the best spinner to do it, or we can jump back over to Scrapebox to generate a big list of related words. So to do it in the best spinner, if you just write out your keyword or phrase as such, and then you can just select some of these alternative words. And as you can see, my computer's being a bit slow, and highlight that, and then you can just drop that in the alt tags like that, and there's 3 of those to replace. But the better way of doing it is with Scrapebox, so let me just jump back over there. So in Scrapebox, we're going to go scrape keyword scraper, and we'll put a couple of keywords in there. Make sure all the sources are ticked here, and click scrape, and that will go out and find us lots of related words that we can use as our alt text. Now remember, the alt text isn't actually shown to the user on the front end, it's kind of hidden behind the image, so it doesn't matter if it's doesn't entirely make sense. So we can remove duplicate keywords, and you can see we've got 66 different phrases we can use as alt text. So if we copy those and take them into the best spinner, and we can just paste those down here, then highlight them all, spin together, no, and go out and find the 3 alt areas that need replacing. So there's 1, there's 2, and the 3rd one, where are you hiding? Down here. There we go. Okay, so all of that might look like a big jumble to you at the moment, but this is what it actually outputs. So there we've got an image, an alt tag, a border aligned right. Next time we've got an image, a border also aligned right, but no alt tag. Alt tag, border, source, align left. And this is what it actually looks like in the HTML preview. And you can see how effective that is when we insert it into our article. So the next step, once we've prepared the images to add into the article, which we've got here, is to prepare some videos to spin into the article. So let me show you how to prepare all of that. So to do the videos, come over to YouTube and do a search for your keyword. Previously what I used to do is open all the video results in new tabs and then copy the URLs, much like the images, but I found an easier way is if you just highlight the entire page here, and then we can use a Firefox plugin called Copy URLs Expert. So we can just right click on this highlighted stuff, copy URLs Expert, URLs in selection, and just click on that. And if we just come into Notepad quickly and paste the results of that, you can see all these different URLs to the videos here, along with a load of other garbage. But I'll show you how to filter that out in a minute. Let's just move on to the next page of video results and do exactly the same thing. And you'll want to do this for maybe 4 or 5 pages, but I'm just going to do it for a couple just to show you the process. So let's highlight everything, right click, copy URLs expert, URLs in selection, back to our notepad file, and let's just dump that paste at the end of there. Okay, so if you can copy all of that and then come into Excel, which is here, and then you can paste it down here, and we'll go URL there, and sort and filter A to Z. We can get rid of all of this, all these results, all the user links, until we just get these watch links here. So we can delete that, and that one as well. And then just highlight this, data, remove duplicates, OK, and that'll remove any duplicates. So there we've got 38 videos that we can use, but now we need to construct the embed code. So I'm just going to show you how easy that is to do. So if we just load one of these videos up quickly, and we just need to grab the embed code for one of them to use as a base. And I'm just going to pause that so it doesn't play, and click on share here, and this will drop down and allow us to embed the video. Click on embed, and then we want to use the old embed code, the JavaScript based one. And if you just make a copy of that and bring it into Notepad, what we can actually see going on here is the actual video ID is mentioned a couple of times. Once there and once there. So what we need to do is rebuild this structure in Excel so that we can spin it all together really easily. So to do that, if we just come to Excel first, and we want to copy all of the URL up to the equals and including the equals. Click on find and replace that with nothing. So then all we've got is a list of video IDs, and we can just move that here. So if we come back to our YouTube embed code, we can see that the first video ID is there. So if we copy this and paste it into there and fill it down, and then the bit after the video ID is this question mark all the way up to the video ID again. Copy that, paste it into here, and bring it down. Then next is the actual video ID itself, so we need to copy that into here. And then the last part is from here, and we paste that in there and fill it down. So to put all this together, we can type equals that, ampersand that, ampersand that, and that, and that, and hit enter and fill that down. And if we just copy one of these and paste it into Notepad, it should look very similar to what we see here. And in fact, it's identical. /v, there's video ID, there's video ID again. So that's looking pretty good to me. So if we copy all of these and come into the best spinner, open a new article here and paste it in, highlight it all, spin together and click on no. And if we look at the spun article there, you can just see that each time this outputs a video. And that is all of your videos together. So right now you should have an article that has been spun by hand on the sentence, word and phrase level. You should have at least 50 images in the image spinning code that is provided under this video, along with alt text, and you should have a list of related videos all spun together. So now all we need to do is put all that together into the one article, and then at the end of it, the very last bit is inserting our various links. Now we've actually got a few choices when it comes to adding the images and videos, and I'm going to take you through each one so you can choose how to do it. There's no hard and set rule here, just make it as random as you can. So sometimes you might display an image, sometimes you might display a video, sometimes you'll display neither, or you can really mix it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an image to appear randomly between these paragraphs, a video between these paragraphs, and an image or a video between these paragraphs, and then from there you can pretty much do what you want with it. So what we're going to do is just down here at the end of this paragraph is open a bracket, and sometimes we want this blank line to display, so we come down here and put the line, and sometimes we want a image to display. So if we close the brackets off there, that means sometimes this spacing here is going to display, and sometimes this spacing here is going to display. So if we make it so that the image will sit on its own with a line above it and a line below it, and come and get our image code and copy that, come back to our article and paste that in here. Have a bit of a think, and let's have a look at our spun article, and straight away there you can see the image is there, new spin, and now it's not there in HTML. No image, and an image there. Now this doesn't obviously look very well formatted or anything, it's just a guideline. So that is the images spun in. Next we can do the same with videos, pretty much the same process. Open the bracket here, put a pipe there, put some space for the video to go into, and close it off with the bracket there. And there we go, a line above and a line below. And if we come across here and get our video code highlight all of that and copy, and then come back here and paste that in. So now when we look at the spun article, let's just look at the plain text one, image and a video, image and a video. Oh, there we go, no image or no video, image and a video, nothing, just a video. You're going to give us just an image? Yeah, there we go, just an image. So sometimes you get an article with an image, sometimes a video, and sometimes both. So what you could actually do is spin all of this image code with all of this video code with a blank line. So instead of choosing blank or image, it will choose blank or image or video, and that really helps to mix things up a bit. So to do that, if we copy all of the video code and then come to our image code here and scroll all the way to the top and put a bracket in here and say, look, sometimes display an image, and you pipe there and then paste your video code in and then close it with another bracket. If we look at what that's done, sometimes a video displays and sometimes an image displays. So to add that into our article, we need to come here, select it all, right click and copy that. And then come back to our article here, and we're going to insert in this last paragraph. So open bracket, sometimes display the line that we've already got in place, and sometimes we want to display the video or image. Remember, a line above, a line below, the curly bracket there, and paste that in. And I'm imagining this is going to cause the best spinner to slow down a little bit. And again, just click on spun article, and this is the one that we've just inserted above the last line. Sometimes an image, sometimes nothing, sometimes an image, and an image again, and then a video. So let's have a look at what that has done for things like our uniqueness. So we go to publish, generate and compare, and again we're going to put 50 in and click generate. I'm just going to pause the video while it does all of that. Okay, that is done. So if we make that big, we can just look at the uniqueness table down here and look at that. It's absolutely dominated by the mid to high 80s and the 90s. And that's really what we're trying to get to in the end. So that is the power of spinning in images and videos. Not only does it increase uniqueness, but it makes the articles look much better when people are reading them or other people are moderating them and things like that. So if we just come out of that, I just wanted to show you a few other extra tricks that we can do to improve uniqueness. First of all, you can make entire paragraphs or sentences optional so that sometimes they display and sometimes they don't. So this final paragraph, for example, I could say, or even let's just find this, no, we'll do the whole paragraph. We can say, okay, if we put the extra bracket there and a pipe there and the curly bracket there, that makes this entire paragraph optional. And if we look at what that's done, here look, it ends in an image. If we do a new spin, it ends in the paragraph. And you can also do the same thing with some sentences. So let's come up here, for example. And this spun sentence here, we can just sort of say, yeah, a bracket there and a pipe. So sometimes pick all of that, but sometimes pick nothing. And that makes all of that optional as well. So you can remove sentences and paragraphs at random where it makes sense to do so to help improve your uniqueness even further. And if we just have a look at what that's done here, click the spun article, and you can see here, look, we've got 260 words, new spin. Oh, I forgot that doesn't actually update on the spin. Just a note, actually, this uniqueness counter down here on the best spinner, ignore it. To work out uniqueness, you should do the generate and compare, generate the number of times you're going to be using the article, and use your brain to kind of look over that grid. This uniqueness number down here is pretty meaningless, to be honest. So if we do another generate and compare with various sentences missing and things, I'm just going to pause it while it generates. Okay, that's done. And again, we're seeing the high 80s, mid 90s in terms of the uniqueness. I'm just trying to see. Oh, we've got a 71% there. That's not ideal. But we've not added the links in, and there's a few other things yet that we can do to improve uniqueness even further. And just a note while we're working through all of this, don't generally follow my process to the letter. Use your brain a little bit. There's really unlimited amounts of things you can do with spinning. For example, you could have a bulleted list of items like this. And then say sometimes spin that bullet in, sometimes don't, as well as the content within that bullet point. You can do the same with headings. You can do it with bold, italic, underline. You can spin anything. So just apply your own creativity to this. But we're looking in pretty good shape at the moment. The next thing we need to do is add links in along with rotating the anchor text, and I will also show you how to use the URL as the anchor text, but within the context of the article so it still makes sense. So let's get started with that. First of all, we're going to add the link to our money site. So if we just come to a new article tab here and construct our HTML code and insert the link to your money site here, and then we just need to find some anchor text to put in there, and you will know what your target keywords are. But what I like to do to make sure the article makes sense and everything like that is my main keyword is payday loan, and which I can see here is spun with all these other words and phrases that still make sense and are related to the main term. So if I copy these out and come over here and drop that in there, then you can see that our link will always spin in with a different anchor text but still fits within the context and flow of the article, which is important. Now, a lot of people now want to include naked URL links to try and avoid anchor text over optimization and such things. Personally, I don't bother. I just make sure I've got a really diverse mix of anchor text that I'm using. But if you want to do it with naked URLs, let's go over how to do that. So typically when the article is output, it chooses between one of these words. Now, if you wanted a naked URL, what you could actually say is just have the naked URL in brackets after those words. It's not the best way of doing it, but it doesn't interrupt the flow of the article, and it does help provide the user with an additional point of reference. as they're reading the article. So if we take these words that we copied before, and then we can add our URL here, and I forgot the actual HTML code, so let's insert that. Okay, and then if we have a look at spun article, you can see that that outputs like that. You could also, if you wanted, perhaps add some words or text around this. Check out. Why are you not suggesting words? Okay, I'll put my own suggestions in. Check out, look at, visit, see, and any others that you can think of. And in fact, we'll actually include a blank as well. So sometimes it displays those words and sometimes it doesn't. So let's have a look at that. And you can see how they all spin payday loan, see that. So now if we spin those together, that is our money site link. Sometimes it displays with an anchor URL and sometimes it displays with the naked URL. So now we just need to insert that into our article. And if you make a copy of that, come to your article, and we need to find where it mentions a term payday loan and where I can replace it. Let's have a look at some of this. In fact, I'm just gonna put it in the first paragraph here. No. You can forward to find actually. Perhaps maybe this paragraph's a good place. Yes, while utilising payday loans, cash advance loans. So we can replace all of that with our money site link. And don't forget that this is going to pick one of 3 sentences, so we need to insert into each sentence that it could pick from. And there we go again. We can replace all of that. And the last one is here, look. And if we have a look at the output here, you can see our link to our money site appearing within the context of the article. So that's how you add the link to your money site using both anchors and naked URLs in a way that still makes sense when it is published on a site. And the very last thing that we need to do with this article is insert some contextual links to other relevant websites so that the article doesn't just link to our site, which I believe is a bit of a red flag. And actually providing links to other articles will only strengthen the power of your backlink overall. So let's start looking for some relevant links, and we're going to fire up Scrapebox to do that. So I'll see you in Scrapebox. So in the Keywords tab, I'm going to put in title payday loan and in title cash advance loan. We're going to use Google, 500 results for each, and click start. And that will go out and get us a huge list of relevant contextual URLs that we can add into the article itself. So I'm just going to stop it there. Click OK. Close that. Remove duplicate URLs. and copy that to my clipboard. And let's head back to the best spinner. So in the best spinner, open a new tab, paste in all of those links that we've just scraped from Scrapebox, and we can select them all and spin together. Click no. And that's just going to take a minute because there's quite a lot of them. Okay, and when that's done, what we need to do is insert the HTML code, and the best spinner really doesn't like a big list of URLs like this. So ahref equals quotation and any one of these URLs, and then down here quotation. Oh, I think that's inserted at the top. Yeah, we don't want it up there. Quotation. My computer's having a really hard time today. And close that off. And then all we need to do is insert the relevant anchor text here. And I'm going to do that in very much the same way as we did for our money site links. So the contextual links make sense and sit within the article properly. So again, I'm going to look for some payday loan related terms that I can use. For example, here, let's grab these terms. And come back to this article. And then we can drop that in there. Okay, so this is all of our contextual links. And what we actually want it to do is sometimes have a contextual link and sometimes not. So to do that, we need to come all the way to the top here, add the curly bracket, come down, and add the pipe and the curly bracket. So sometimes a contextual link and sometimes not. And now all we need to do is pepper this throughout our article. So if we select it all and copy, and come over here, and there we go. We can replace that highlighted text straight away with our contextual link. Let's re-highlight that and paste it in. And the best spinner is going to need a bit of time to have a think about that. There we go, I think, yeah. And let's just look at some other random places we can pepper that in. There's another one that we can replace. Let's highlight all of that. And just let that catch up. And let's scroll down to some of the other paragraphs where we could possibly have a contextual link. There we go, this one here. And also, just as I'm looking through this, I've just noticed that the word credit score, credit history, credit ranking is mentioned a few times throughout the article. So we could actually go back and scrape some URLs related to those and insert contextual links around those terms as well. So let's just finish off the payday loan type ones. Here's another one that we can replace quite easily with our contextual links. And that's just going to have to say a and paste that in. Okay, so you get the general idea. We're just looking for terms that we can replace with our contextual links. What I'm actually going to do is pause the video, do exactly the same routine and scrape through Scrapebox for credit rating and credit history related terms. I've seen them pop up here and throughout the article a couple of times as I've been doing it, so that just gives me another opportunity to add in some other relevant links throughout the article. So I'm just going to pause the video and scrape those links and pepper those throughout as we have been doing. So now I've finished peppering the relevant links and replacing the credit report ones as well. I could also go through and look for other common words and phrases throughout the article and look for some possible other linking opportunities, but I think that'll pretty much do it. If we come over here and preview it, we can see here, look, there's a relevant link, money site link, and another one here, no images or videos. Click new spin. This time we've got our money site link, a relevant link here instead of the first paragraph, a video and another video. And again here, this time, look, we've got an image and a video instead of two videos. And your link's in a different place again, to a different place and Word. So if we come up to the Publish tab, generate and compare, and we'll generate 50 of these again just to get an overview of how it looks, and I'll just pause it while it does that. Okay, that's done. And again, in this table here, mid 80s to the high 90s in the uniqueness. That's all very good. Remember that this was only to start with a 200 word article. You'll actually be doing it with a 500 word article with about 50 or 60 different images, and yours will actually be a lot more unique than mine. I've only used a few images, a few videos, and a very small base article to start with. So that is spinning. If we were to load that into SE Nuke, here's kind of what the output might look like. Word count 250. We can spin that here. We've got some links in here and some more video, image, no final paragraph. Spin that again. This time the link, video, another contextual link, and then no image or anything, 206 word count. And spin it again. This time the word count's 208, no images, videos, but lots of contextual links and links to our money site. And we'll spin it once more, 168 words. This time we've got two images, a video, and links. And it doesn't look very good in this preview window, but when you submit it to a site, it'll look much better. So that is how to spin an article properly. I appreciate the first few times you do this, it's going to take you quite a while, but this process now takes me about 2 hours to do end to end, from the source article to the final spin that we're seeing right here. And also you want to bear in mind what you're going to be using the spin for. For example, if you're submitting it to Web 2 sites and JCal platform, then you can include images and videos, but if this was going to an article directory, for example, then you couldn't include images and videos in the body. So just bear that in mind while you're spinning the article. So that pretty much wraps up the spinning tutorial. I'm sorry it took an hour, but I didn't want to cut any corners. And in summary, article spinning is highly effective when it is done right. You should always take the time to spin by hand. Ensure the output article is readable and would pass human moderation. Don't forget to include relevant images, videos, and links throughout. And most importantly, never use one-click auto spinning tools.